Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back on the mic with Mike. It is the day. We have the coach with us. Saraellen Bagby is here with us. Hashtag Sarah be the coach. Last week, she introduced us to her new business venture. She's a serial entrepreneur. That is a business coach. That is a world class photographer. Now you're merging those two together. Sarah Ellen, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
Alrighty, so what's new and exciting in your world? Give your listeners an idea who you are, what you do, really quickly, and then I know you have some great topics that you want to touch base with today.
Yes, thank you. So I am Sarah Ellen Bagby, also owner of J Bella Photography, now J Bella Education as well. And I do business coaching as well as full-time photography services. And now I am going to be educating people on mostly the operations of how to operate a photography business. And eventually we're going to be getting into how to shoot, posing, models, etc. So I've got a plan to just kind of start with that and grow that business into all the things I already knew that come naturally to me, but to help other people with some support in that area as well.
One of the things that you had taught us before is you took something that you learned in corporate America, you turned it
Uh-huh.
into your own business, you picked up the photography, now you've merged the photography and the business side of it together. So you're going to teach photographers the business side, and then you're going to go into the whole staging and how to make
The
pictures look good.
technical. Yes, and I guess for me it's personal because I feel like a lot of people learn the technical, like we have a skill, like you have a hairstylist, and we start doing it as a hobby, and then before you know it, you're in a full blown business. But if something comes up with a client or a client issue, specifically a lawsuit, a lot of people aren't prepared on how to deal with that, how to deal with a client who doesn't like something. And now, on social media, one person says something negative about your business, it can go to thousands. And I don't think that a lot of people think about they're so excited and hungry, which is great, but they don't think about the other side until they have to. And sometimes when you have to, it's a little late. So I like for people to learn the business and how to operate the business, how to make the clients happy while you're stepping into the technical part. Because I think it's actually more important to know that part than starting off with the technical, because the technical can be learned. And for a lot of people, the business sense is why a lot of people will start a business, quit a business, start a business, rebrand a business. It's not because they don't know their trade. It's because they haven't learned customer service and they haven't learned how to officially operate the business or protect the business. And so that for me is crucial. And I attribute majority of my success to the fact that I learned over 19 years how to operate, and in my situation, somebody else's business. And I have seen somebody get a lawsuit over a $5 bank trim and have to have $500 settlement because they didn't want it to go any further. So when I went to initiate my business, one of the first things I did was, can a photographer be sued? Like, what happens if I upset a client? Like, what happens if a client has slander on my name? And I protected myself from all of those things very, very early on. And now I'm at a place where I want my fellow photographers to do the same. And so because I have learned that trade and mastered it, I think that it's crucial for me to help others so that they can be successful in that business. And because in all industries, there's enough for us all. So I believe in educating and helping the next person to get where I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah Ellen Bagby here with words of wisdom for us. That's really great information. I don't think that a number of people would think that a hairstylist would be sued or a
Oh my gosh.
photographer. You said, oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I worked for a corporate, so of course I was on the back end, and it wasn't something I personally had to worry about. But I mean, there were lawsuits because the pricing for curly hair was different than straight. There were lawsuits because literally I can remember the client that sued over a bank trim was in my district, and I was like, hold on, what? And she said she was distraught. Her bangs were too short, and she sued. And there are numerous other reasons that people sued. And a lot of times, when you have a big company, they have those protections in place. So it may not have made it to the multi-million-dollar level, but if you're a small business, can you afford to settle at $500? Not every business can or wants to if they haven't quite gotten off the ground yet. So it's the things that you don't think about. And I share usually on a more private personal platform, but I was sued in my second year of business as a photographer. And luckily I won, but had I not had, and I cannot tell you how many photographers I personally know of that do weddings, events, portraits without an invoice, without a contract, without anything to protect them if something goes wrong. And in my particular instance, the reason that I won the lawsuit primarily was because of the terms and agreements I had in my contract that the client signed prior to.
So now for you, say something goes wrong. What are the
Yes.
steps that a business owner can take so that maybe they don't go to that point of getting sued? Like when
One
I
of
see
the
something
things
that,
is
what do I do first?
One of the things is to know the ins and out of your business before you start it. What is something you could be sued for in your business? So if it's a tangible business, like something that somebody is eating, could somebody choke? Could somebody have an allergic reaction? How do you protect yourself from that? And actually do the research to see, do I need to have postings that I have peanuts in my cookies? Like, you find out the details of what the potential things could be ahead of time. As a photographer, somebody could just not like an image. Somebody could feel like the image made them feel a negative way. Somebody could feel that I posted an image that was slander to them almost if they didn't agree with that image. So those are things that I put in up front in my contracts. Like, for example, my weddings, I too own their pictures. So they have the option to rewrite that contract and say, I don't want, and I just did that recently. I had a cultural wedding. I won't get into what culture it was, but prior to signing a contract, I was informed by the groom that in their culture, they don't share their images to social media. I am a social media photographer. So we talked about the terms to that agreement, and I said, due to your culture, I want to respect that. And so what I'm going to do is adjust my contract that I will not share these images, and these images will belong solely to you. And then you do what you need to do to make that happen for that client. But there were things, pre-thought that I think of with photography when I did my agreements and my contracts that are in every one. For example, people showing up late. It took me one time to wait 45 minutes for a client before I said, oh, that needs to be in my agreement. So now I have like a small section in my receipt that states, if the client is late after 15 minutes, this is the additional fee. After 30 minutes, the photographer will actually leave and the client will have forfeited all payments. Why did I do that? Because I'm fully aware that other photographers have waited hours. Client gets upset, wants a refund. You've lost your money and you've lost your time because you can't get it back. Other things that, you think of before, what happens if you do an amazing session, the client gets it back, her husband doesn't like it, and she wants her money back? That's in my agreement. Once you get your images and you pick them, there is no refund. So you have to think about those things. And it doesn't mean that you can't still work with that client, because I know me personally, I want to make my client happy. So I would still say, what can we do? But know what those limits are, because you will run into that one-off client that just wants something for nothing. And you have to make sure that you have protections in order to not be taken advantage of.
So Saraellen Bagby is here with us talking of the ins and outs of successful business practices. When you send the agreement, do they need to sign off, or is payment to you enough that constitutes an agreement?
So, two things. For my larger events, they have to sign and make payments. For my portraits, which are a lot less expensive, on the bottom of their invoice, I actually write on there, payment is acknowledgement for agreement.
Thank you very much for that. That was for the host. I appreciate that information.
Yeah, because you've got to be overly detailed. And then it's up to the client to make sure that they read those details. And then if they don't, they can bring you their concerns. And I always make sure, the contract doesn't take away the communication. You should still personally speak to people, interact with them by email, all of those things. The contract those are the things that I don't necessarily necessarily need to talk about because it's uncomfortable maybe, but I'll tell the client, make sure you read your contract. I can't wait to work with you, and save the nice and fluffy stuff for when we're having our in-person conversation, because you still need to do both. You've got to engage and interact with your client.
On the mic with Mike, Saraellen Bagby here with us. We are here with you daily from 5 to 7 a.m. That's where you find us, 5 to 7 a.m. on, and that's where we are. That's where we operate at. So here, Saraellen Bagby is here with us talking business, life, everything in between. She is are you a serial entrepreneur, or you just one who found the things that you're doing and you're good at?
I feel like I found the things that I do and I'm good at. Yes, and that's what that is. And what's cool about like our conversation now is that this is some of the stuff I'm going to cover in the upcoming How to Rock Your Photography Business class, and really go a lot deeper. But these are, I mean, I'm glad you bring it up because it's really important stuff.
On the mic with Mike, Saraellen here is with us. Okay, now, I've had my section at a time. What is it that you'd like to talk about today? Because a lot of times I'm peeking at your notes.
I feel like you already read my notes. I swear, I'm like, does he have like psychedelic, like, what is the deal?
You know what? Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah, well, you're always like super on point. So one of the things I wanted to really talk about today was a post that I posted the other day that falls in the exact same conversation, and I thought was like, I just sat and was like really thinking about it as really deep. I know people sometimes will tell me like, if you had known like that you were going to have the level of success that you have now, would I have done it a long time ago? And it's like a two-part answer. And I say, yes, if I had known what I know now. And then I pause there because the reality is I didn't have the amount of knowledge until I had it to leave and go do what I do. And I bring that point up because a lot of people have grand ideas for businesses and they get really excited about it. And then they want to jump ship and start their own salons, their own jewelry stores, their own, all of these different creative things, which are awesome. But sometimes if you don't have the knowledge backing it, it won't necessarily stop your progress, but it may slow your progress because you've still got to learn. That's what I call is an investment period. And that investment period is different for everyone. But for me, I didn't go to college, but I spent 19 years in a very amazing business with someone that literally taught me A to Z how to operate a business before I ventured out to open my own. So the success I've had in my 2 years of being full-time is not because I was just good at what I do. It's because I invested that time. Some people do that investment in college. Some people do it as an intern. Some people, do it just observing and reading and getting on the internet and finding out what they need to know about their business. But I say that to say that time, wherever it is just as crucial, if not more crucial, again, than the service that you offer itself. And so I don't like to confuse people with saying, oh, I'm like super supportive of like running your own business. I am, but if you do it right, because it's disheartening, I guess, to see if somebody goes out to run a business and they don't have the business basics, and in 2 to 3 years, the business has gone under, they can't afford their own house. My purpose is to help breed success and to change your lifestyle. And you have to get yourself educated on the background content before you put yourself out there full time into any business. And that's not just the photography business. So planning is very crucial in that. And that goes back to like when, you and I have talked several times about, well, where do you price yourself? Well, if you're a newbie and you just got your hair license last year, going to operate a salon, you can't even charge what you need to charge to have a full-time career yet. So it's not a negative thing to work with or under someone else in order to develop your talents to where when you do it, you rock.
One of Mike Saraellen Bagby here with us. How can people find you out there?
You can find me on Facebook or Instagram under JBella RVA on Facebook, JBella_photography RVA. My Instagram has actually changed to #SarahBeTheCoach for more motivation there. And then it's still Excellence with an X, Coaching and Business Planning on Facebook.
So
So
what
that's
you're
you need daily motivation. Follow that.
yeah, okay, let's talk about the social media game. I said when I first
Yeah.
found you, your social media game was fire.
Yay.
Hey, it's going up a notch. I mean,
Well, thank you.
the daily information that you put out there, besides that, as well as the business stuff, how do you
Yeah.
pick, how do you figure out? So, for the business owners out there who's trying to figure out a way to get exposure, how do you decide what goes up in social media? Like, what do you pick between, say, what goes on Facebook, what goes on Instagram? And are you on
Well,
TikTok?
oh, TikTok. So first of all, I have too many social media accounts.
I
So I
understand that.
do Instagram, I do Facebook, and my brain for the quotes is constantly like, this just inspired me, that just inspired me, and so I've learned to hit the voice recorder, and I have learned to put notes so that when I'm not running, as you see, I'm in my car today. So when I'm not running around doing errands, I'll stop and I'll just make a few on my phone, and then I'll post those to the pages where I have the motivational stuff. For my photography, the content is easy because I'm at a place, thankfully, that I'm booked all the time, and my clients know that I share majority of what I do, and I get that permission from each one when I do it, and I tag them, and that's how that business has grown. So I'm constantly sharing it. TikTok right now seems to be the hottest, and shame on me for being behind. But in my defense, I did just hire can't remember her last name, but her name is Yama, as a virtual assistant this week. So she is going to be supporting me over the next few weeks with TikTok. I literally called her and was like spastic and was like, I can't add another thing to my plate when it comes to social media because I'm already juggling it. So I got to the place where I was like, you know what, at this point it needs to be outsourced. And eventually I'm going to have her assisting me with getting online appointments and bookings. And you know, Mike, you know that's a big for me because guess what's in front of me?
You got that big thick book.
So this is about to go virtual like the rest of the world, so that I can get the support that I need to grow my business. Because you know, that would be my level of opportunity, is transforming and catching up so that I can continue to grow.
How do you know when it's time to outsource something?
When it becomes too much, or not necessarily when it becomes too much, but also when you find that you're not able to do certain things or other things because your plate is starting to get full or you're juggling it, or if your current life seems to be chaotic in certain areas. I mean, I can't remember this amazing speaker on my Facebook the other day, but I absolutely loved everything that he talked about on a personal level. I'm sorry.
Uh-oh. One of Mike Saraellen Bagby. We just lost her for a moment, but you can find her she's out there at Saraellen Bagby. That's where hashtag Sarah be the coach. You also can find her on her Instagram, Facebook. She is out there making a difference. Just want to give a shout out to all our good friends out there. The weather today is sponsored by Cena Hospitality. So the weather today, folks, we will have a nice one. 71 degrees is the high, 49 is the low. 0% chance of precipitation, and the sunset will be today at like 8:02. So on the mic with Mike, we'd like to thank our friends over at Cena Hospitality. So if you need hotel room, hotel spaces, make sure you check out Ravi Patel. He has multiple locations around town. So on the mic with Mike, they also offer a space for events. So if you need event space, whether that is for a convention, whether that is for a business meeting or social gathering, all the precautions for COVID-19 are being taken into account. So they'll take care of you over there. They also have the On the Mic with Mike discount. So that is Ravi Patel and the good folks over at Cena Hospitality. I'd like to thank our show sponsor, second hour, Andy Taylor and Junk Luggers. If you have things around the house that you need removed, Andy Taylor and Junk Luggers can handle that for you. They take care of everything from a single room hot tub. They're always cautious about taking care of your property. So as they're removing things, so they can remove everything from one single room to an entire household. So they're also eco-friendly. So that is Andy Taylor and Junk Luggers, who's out there doing some big things, helping the community. Their trucks are eco-friendly. That's why they're the lime green ones that you see running around town. So on the mic with Mike would also like to thank our first hour's show sponsor, which is Tom Childry, the credit card guy. With Tom Childry, if you have credit card merchant services, Tom Childry is the person. He has been doing it for more than 25 years. He can help you with all of your servant merchant purchases. He can help you with that. One great thing about him is that he says he helps you get paid quicker. He helps you find the easiest and smoothest way to offer you
Got you
services.
back.
So, alrighty. So
Yeah, yeah.
we have the coaches back with us. Modern technology. That's the way it works, folks. So you are welcome back.
Yeah, so I'll jump right back into what I was saying. I don't remember the name of the person, but he's on my Facebook page. But he brought up a really good topic the other day when you're like, how do you know when it's important to outsource? And he was actually talking about his personal life. And he said when I could be making more money or doing other things with my time. So he was saying how he was teaching his nephew, like he wanted the house clean. He's like, but my nephew makes money. So he's like, I don't care how you get the house clean. I just want it clean. So if you need to hire somebody out so that you can go back to work and do what you got to do, then that's what you do. And so that I think hit like, I was like, whoa, that was like alarm bells for me, because a lot of times it's about the value on your time. So if you're wasting, and I'm not going to say wasting time because social media is not a waste of time, but if you're spending a lot of your time on social media when you could be doing other things to add value to your business, then you outsource it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. What you're looking at doing is fine. As we always say in the sales game, people are going after low hanging fruit. What can I do today
Yeah.
the closest to making me money? Social media can really take up a lot of time, and so
Yeah.
I know I have 5 social media platforms, and
Yep.
trying to, and a lot of mine are not on the mic with Mike are not say ones that are scheduled. These are things that I see a person doing something, so I'm amplifying what they do. So it's on as you said, you're constantly looking at your phone because a person posted something and trying to be an influencer to let people know, to give people a platform. All of a sudden, I just share that post and share that because a lot of people are like, well, you can schedule everything. Well, I can't. And so what it does is you start looking at this platform and that platform, and you share here and you share there. But it works because it does get the word out. And the same thing is when we're talking on radio. The thing is, it gives you a platform. There's a number of people who are listening to our audience who's out there on ESPN Richmond. It gives you a base of people to talk to. But now you have to supplement that and follow that up with the whole social media game. And before you know it, you are not shooting pictures anymore. You are not coaching anymore because all you're doing is social media support.
And if you lift your foot off one, then you get behind on the other. So if by doing all of these things, I can't get my social media out, or by doing my social media out, I'm missing an appointment, then you have to weigh your options and look at which one is going to give you the most bang for your buck and benefit to your time. And also realize too that as you grow, you should be incorporating delegation anyway. You don't, if you look at, the face of big business, being at the top, and I can say from experience when I was at the corporate level, I wasn't doing, that was the biggest adjustment, going from behind the chair as a salon leader into being a district leader for a company was, I wasn't doing the work anymore. All of a sudden I was delegating and teaching other people how to do it successfully. And then you create what you call an operation.
That is true. How can people find you out there?
And even, in the photography world, you look at your photographers that are super successful, they have a branding team, they have a second shooter, an assistant, they have somebody in all of those roles. So the goal really should be to get to that level, because it also brings you back and gives you quality of life. People struggle when they're in the middle, where they're not quite there yet, but they do need it. And that's where you start to, like I hired a virtual assistant, but guess what? She's not 40 hours a week, she's 3. And then we talked about what that looks like in 3 months, 6 months, as things continue to grow and we see a benefit, then we'll increase and incorporate more time based on that. So it has to be a benefit from the business. You should be seeing a return on the investment, and then you grow from there.
On the mic with Mike, Saraellen Bagby, who is out there doing big things. How can people find you one last time?
Thank you. Find me on Facebook, JBellaRVA, or Instagram, JBella_photography_RVA, as well as hashtag Therapy the Coach. On Facebook, you can just hit the hashtag, and you'll get tons of inspiration and quotes, as well as excellent business and coaching.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we do here. We bring out the best and brightest. Saraellen Bagby here with us every week. Good friend of the program, out there doing some really big things. Make sure you check her out, whether it's in coaching or either in the photography. But like she said, she's booked. Can't messing around. We aren't messing around out here. She is out there conquering the world. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.
All righty, thanks. On the mic with Mike, we'd like to thank Saraellen for bringing all the great content to us. That's what she does on a weekly basis. Follow her on all social platforms. She's putting out some great information. So we will talk to you on the other side. On the mic with Mike, we bring you the game changers. Saraellen Bagby is one of them. Thanks now. Take care.